Okay, there I am. I'm not muted. Hi, everyone. How's your day going? I hope you've had an amazing Sunday. I hope you've had a relaxing day. For those that are just joining me for the first time, my name is Beverly Johnson, owner of Genesis Fitness, your health coach. Hey, Mama, your health coach, personal trainer, and owner of all things silly, Marvel Comics, a little DC. Born and bred in the South, where Kool Aid and sweet tea are king. Today, first of all, how rude of me. I hope everyone had a great Mother's Day. I hope you celebrated not just your mom, but your aunties, big mom, your cousins, your sisters, those that have stood in the gap for you as a mother figure. We celebrate you and I honor you. I didn't have a chance to tell you all that last week, but I celebrate you. Hey, Marcy, I celebrate you and I applaud you for your efforts. And for all of us kids that forgot to take out the chicken when we were little, we sorry. We're sorry. Didn't It took getting grown to this big old age to realize that forgetting to take out the chicken can be a big deal when you don't have anything else planned for dinner. So, what we're going to talk about today, over the course of my health career and in my own personal life, one thing that we often, okay, hold on, I'm going to add to the screen. Oh, see, got it right. Oftentimes in my own journey, as well as working with my clients, we all struggle in certain seasons with weight loss. Think back to when you were younger and it seemed like if you just thought about losing 5 pounds, the weight dropped. Or if you just gave up sweets, or if you just gave up a certain food, it just seems like within a blink of an eye, it just went away. And now you're in a season where it doesn't seem to be falling off. If it is, it's slow or not at all. And sometimes it's not always your fault. Sometimes you could be doing all of the right things, but things just aren't coming into play. So my goal has been over this last year and a half is not just to emphasize the exercise portion, but let's peel back the layers of some things that we may be doing, sometimes unintentionally, that's stifling our own weight loss goals. And again, this is not intended to replace going to the doctor. This is in general. So everybody's situation will be different. However, being in the health and wellness space, I can speak from my own personal experience that there is so much information sometimes you really just don't know what to do. And in so many cases, um, the information contradicts itself. Ah, there we go. And so many times the information, it seems like it contradicts itself. Sometimes it feels like one site tells you to do one thing, then another site tells you to do something else, and you're just like, well, what I do. So what in my goal as your health coach and your trainer is to give you some information from different perspectives to sometimes see that maybe the information that I'm receiving may not work well for me in my situation. So, without further ado, what we're going to talk about is why we struggle with weight loss. And again, these are just some of the general topics. Um, Again, in my experience, I've been prior military, where in the military we were active all day and we ate a certain caloric intake. Come out the military, was still trying to eat that same caloric intake, but I was not as active. Getting older, what I could consume at in college cannot be consumed in this season. What I was doing at sitting at a desk may not be the same as being active all day. So we have to look at our lives in totality and not just reduce it down to just exercise. So the first one, I'm gonna figure this out. Hold on. Oh snap. There I go. The first one. As we're going into this, did you know during the pandemic, and not just millennials, But on average, at the height of the pandemic, most people gained on average 41 pounds during COVID-19. On average, 41 pounds during the pandemic. And that was part of, we went from being that outside, living and thriving, to in a span of 48 hours being told that we have to go in the house and stay in the house and we'll tell you when to come back outside. And that created anxiety, that created fear. All of a sudden, not only are you inside, but you're working from your home, you're educating, you're a caregiver, you're doing so many different things in your home without really a lot of guidance at that time about what do we do next. So the only option a lot of us had was to go to the grocery store. You either went to the grocery store, Lowe's, or Home Depot. So you were either learning how to bake bread or make a craft. And I went to the craft side. I have a lot of things that I started in here that I never finished. But again, we all found a way to cope with being in the house. And for many people, that resolve became food. And so if you're one of those that fell in that category, offer yourself grace and forgiveness. Because again, that was a scary time. Even though we're at the endemic and it may not as be as prevalent, um, COVID is still out there, but not at the height where we were all homebound. And so only place we really had to go was the grocery store. And so if you ate out of boredom, you ate out of fear, you ate out of anxiety, that was a lot of people across the board because we all started binge watching a lot of TV on Netflix to the point where we started having watch parties where certain streaming services figured out how to create watch parties for us. So we would be on Zoom having watch parties. We'd be connected on Netflix and Amazon Prime or Hulu having watch parties. And so at the height of all of that being becoming more sedentary, being homebound, that resulted in on average a 41-pound weight gain. And so again, if you fell in that category, offer yourself grace, offer yourself patience, and offer yourself a space to realize, okay, now that I'm coming out of the haze and the fear of being in the house and I'm that outside, I'm outside. Let's figure out how to move into that next season. So that means if that happened to you, you are not alone. I almost broke out singing the Michael Jackson song, You Are Not Alone. I'm not going to do that. If you want a singer, that's my mama. I, I felt it. It was coming up right here. You Are Not Alone was right there. Because your weight loss is not just about diet, it's not always about exercise. It also depends on our age. It depends on our gender, how we identify, and it also depends on your starting weight. Because again, at your age, when you were younger, you could just give up sweets for 2 days and your weight would just drop off. Give up sodas for 2 days, your weight would drop off. Studies shown that men drop weight faster than women, and also your starting weight. So I say all that to say, I see you. And at times, it's not always as easy as we want it to be when we're trying to get our weight under control. Problem number one of why you may be struggling with your weight loss is that you're eating too often. Yes, I recognize that at a certain, make myself big, I recognize that at a certain season, there were certain brands saying that we should eat like 6 times a day. And so we did that. We ate 6 little meals a day. You were basically, and I include myself in that number, we were basically eating what every 2.5 hours because we were told that if you want to see results, if you want to see, if you want to see results, okay, that if you want to see results, you eat a bunch of little meals a day. So you would go to work every day with your big snack bag. I had it. I had this is on top of the refrigerator. We would go with our big snack bags and we have our little breakfast, little snack, lunch, little snack, pre-workout, dinner, and probably another little snack. But what people didn't tell you is that that didn't always work for everybody's system. So what ended up happening is that you were consuming more calories probably than you needed. You were eating more than you probably should have, and you weren't monitoring everything. So I'm not saying that there's not a time and a space for this method to work. However, what I am saying that if you have a more sedentary lifestyle, or if you work in an office, or if you work from home, this method may not work for you. So something to consider is the intermittent fasting method called the 16-8 method. And I know we've talked about it before. The 16-8 method is you pick 8 hours of the day. And that is the beauty of that plan being flexible. For the 16-8 method, you pick the 8 hours out of the day that you're going to eat. If you eat breakfast, so it'd be from like 9 to 5. You pick the range that you want to eat. And then once you finish your 8 hours, you don't eat for 16. So that normally includes going home, taking your bath, going to bed, and eating the next day. So many people have found success using the 16-8 method of intermittent fasting. Now, understand there are numerous other methods that you can choose, but the 16-8 method is the most popular for beginners. So, again, the first one, you may be eating too often. So, consider looking at using a food tracker such as MyFitnessPal, and there's several other ones. That's the one that I've had the most success with, using MyFitnessPal to effectively monitor what you're consuming. And that includes your liquid calories too. Your next one, I know this looks like a walking, I know it looks like a contradiction. You're doing intermittent fasting, but you're not doing it right. One thing that I've noticed with some people that do intermittent fasting, you still need to track what you're eating. You still need to monitor your progress. What ends up happening, people assume that, well, I have this 9 hour window. And so two things end up happening. You either one live on the verge of starvation where you just don't eat enough, or two, you're in a span where you figure as long as I eat in my 8 hour window, I can go for broke. Or it's not as important because I'm in my intermittent fasting window. And that is where I've seen a lot of people struggle, because yes, you can be doing intermittent fasting, but you may not be eating the right things, or you're still consuming more than you should. And that is the space where I would say I would recommend that you get partner with a great coach, a great trainer, and sit down and think about, okay, during my 8 hours, am I eating the right thing? Am I eating enough? Because starvation is not a meal plan. Starvation is not a meal plan. If you're on any plan that's telling you that you should have less than 1,200 calories and you're not under a doctor's supervision, in the conversation. I know there are several health and wellness multi-level marketing plans that are targeted for weight loss, that call their meals fueling. And if you take those fuelings on that program, they offer you less than 1,000 calories. And one thing that they encourage you to do on that program is not to exercise or do a lot of strenuous work, because you're only consuming 800 to 1,000 calories a day. And not only is that dangerous, but that can have serious drawbacks to your metabolism as well as your overall health. So, number two, you may be doing intermittent fasting, but there's a chance that you still aren't structuring your meals properly. And again, grace, because you may not have known that in your intermittent fasting time, you were supposed to still have some type of structure. And again, that's the fault of the health and wellness industry, that we just say go do intermittent fasting, but we don't always give you the parameters of what it looks like in your intermittent fasting. So again, if you're in a space where you've done intermittent fasting and you need additional tools and coaching, always know that I'm available to give you the guidance that you need, because again, you starting out doing all the right things, and you're becoming frustrated. And sometimes it's not through any fault of your own. The next one. I like these charts. I do. I do. You see how I slid that chart in? The third, and it's the reality for all of us, is that we're getting older. Not only are we becoming older, we're becoming more fearless, we're becoming fierce, but we also, our metabolisms are also changing and our metabolism are also shifting. Now, think back to a couple of days ago when you were in your late teens, early 20s, or you could eat anything and bounce back. Or remember when you had your first baby and you got snatched within a month, not less than a month, you went right back. At least that's what my mom said. That after she had me, she was back to snatch. And I like that. I didn't do it. However, you got the baby two, you got the baby three, and things just didn't come back like they used to. But that's part of life. That doesn't diminish your amazingness. That doesn't diminish who you are in this season. That just means things have shifted. So part of our weight loss struggle is that we have gotten older. I almost okay, for those that don't know, I am a dance fitness instructor. So I always have a battery of songs in my head and I can give you a song at any minute. So I'm resisting the urge to just break out in a random song. So the third reason that we all sometimes struggle is because we're getting older. So our natural habit is once we get to a space where you're like, I'm ready to lose weight, I'm ready to take ownership of this journey. And so we automatically go back to the things that worked for us 5 years ago, 10 years ago, a year ago. And then you go back into that space and you don't see that it's changing. And so you're thinking in your mind, I can't do anything right because I can usually come out here, run a few miles every day, and boom, my weight falls off. But in this season, it may require more effort and more time. So the tools that you may have in your box are not necessarily wrong. They may not necessarily be the ones that you need for this season. Oh, I like that. I'm gonna say that again. That there are times where we face our trials and we face our giants with the wrong tools. So yes, you went into your toolbox and you got the one that you knew was faithful and reliable, but it's not the one that's going to work for you in this season. So you may have gone back and say, you know what, when I started gaining weight, I could go back to those classes. I could just cut this and I could cut this and the weight will fall off. But in this season, it may not. So my solution is always going to be if you're in that space, partner with someone that can help you get to this, navigate this season and prepare you with the correct tools to give you what you need in this space. And the last one, I think this is the last one. You may be taking certain medications. And so when we're in this space, and I receive this a lot because this happened to me, picture it. It's springtime and your allergies are acting up. And you go to the doctor. And what does the doctor give you? Prednisone. And what does prednisone do? Weight gain. And so now you were going, you were chugging along, you were rocking and rolling, and now you're on this medication that's creating weight gain, and you don't know what to do. So now you're frustrated. So you say you've been doing the intermittent fasting, you've been drinking your water, you've been drinking water, minding your business, you've been doing everything, and now you're on medication that's causing weight gain. And I will say that is very normal and that is very natural because there are certain medications, such as diabetes medications, antidepressants, as well as steroids, that contribute to weight gain. And that is a hard thing to overcome. And the first solution I'm going to tell you is not taking your medicine is not optional. Not taking your medication is not optional. The doctor prescribed it for a reason. If you are in a season where you're required, where you need to take steroids or antidepressants, or your diabetes medication, your high blood pressure medication. Not taking your medicine should not be your weight loss hack. Because if you are diabetic, pre-diabetic, high blood pressure, not taking your medicine will have far dire consequences to weight gain. And I know this is the hardest one that I have to explain to my clients or potential clients that tell me they're taking certain medications for thyroid and everything else. And their first thing is, "Well, I'll just stop taking my medicine." And my rebuttal is, no, you're not. Until your doctor releases you from your medication, stay on your medication. And we will work through the season that you're in. If possible, we will put you on, I can create a program for you that will help you maintain and work to offset the things that are happening from the medication. But please don't stop taking your medication because we need you. We need your gift. We need your love. We need your light. We need your joy. We need the solutions that you have swirling in your mind. So if you're in this season where it has caused some weight gain, we will work through that. But I know it's frustrating to be in that space where you're doing everything you can that's right. And now you're on a medication. But that's part of one of the things that sometimes may be beyond your control. I'm at the end. So those were the top reasons why we sometimes struggle with weight loss. Is that one, we're eating too much. We don't always track what we're eating. And I know it can be hard during the day to go, wait, let me track this. Wait, let me record this. Wait, let me write this down. So I recognize that depending on what you're doing, it can be a little cumbersome to sit down and track your meals. However, keep, if you can, in your mind, a running tally that do you really need to eat 5 to 6 small meals a day and you're sedentary? Do you really? Or like the little thing on TikTok, are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Are you in a space where you really need to have 6 meals a day? Because depending on what you do, 3 meals may do. But be sure to eat because starvation is not a goal. Starvation is not a weight loss plan. Or number two, you're on intermittent fasting and you haven't structured it the right way. And that happens more times than not. Why? Because we aren't teaching you how to structure your intermittent fasting. We're just saying eat 8 hours a day, you can eat. But we don't tell you that you can still um not structure it properly. And yes, you can do the keto while you're intermittent fasting. You if your window is 8 hours, you can still incorporate the keto within that plan. Number three, did I forget my number three? I did not forget my number three. Number three, we're getting older. Our metabolism has slowed down. And those are things that we have to gently move into. Because I know moving into different seasons and in different decades can be hard. It can be a lot because we go back to the times where we could do things more easily. And now you're in a new decade and life is lifing. And you may not have the resource, you may not have the time because of work, being a caregiver, caring for children. Your schedule may not allow it. Where when you were in your 20s, late, early 30s, you could be in the gym 2 or 3 hours. But now you have to be in a car line, your PTA mom, your PTA dad, your priorities have changed. And in this season, it may not have the time that you used to. So you have to maximize the spaces that you do have. And lastly, you may be in a season that you're taking medication through genetics or through what's happened during COVID, where I said earlier, on average, people gain 41 pounds. That's on average. So now you may be struggling with the after effects that have come with the weight gain. And that's okay. So if you're in any of those categories and you need additional information or you need to sit and partner with someone, by all means, my email address is right there. Be sure to check out my website. Yes, ma'am, you did. Yes, ma'am, you did. And I'm going to email you these charts. Yes, ma'am, I am. I sure am. Um, But though I'm so glad Adriana has come on the screen. If you're in the Huntsville area on June 3rd, Adriana's hosting her first Unstuck conference. Please be sure to check us out at the Madison Library. I'm getting ready to tell the hours wrong. From the hours of 11 to 3, I believe. If you, that's a, oh, congratulations! Yay, soccer! I love ceremonies. If you are in the area on June 3rd, which is also my uncle's birthday, I miss my uncle so much. But let me move on before I start crying. Um, if you're in the area on June 3rd at the Madison Public Library in Madison, Alabama, off of Hughes Road, please come and check us out. Yours truly will be a part of not only a vendor, but I'll be there to share some great information on the topics we just talked about today. Oh, I got it right. So if you are in the Huntsville, Madison area, come by and say hi. So then we could officially meet and see each other face to face. I've been doing this for so many years that I would love the chance to meet everyone. So that is all I have. I will be on the road next weekend to see my mama. Um, Last weekend is another story on itself. I feel like Biggie Smalls every time I talk about it because I got a story to tell. Didn't work out, but that's okay because I'm getting to my mama one way or another. If I got to catch the mega bus or Greyhound, I'm getting to my mama. Believe that. So have an amazing, I hate saying amazing. My mama gonna cook for me. She just found that out. Yeah. My mama gonna cook for me. My mama gonna cook for me. Okay, I'm back. I hate saying have an amazing Memorial Day weekend because Memorial Day recognizes our fallen soldiers. So have a great time off. Enjoy the warm weather, and I will see y'all at the 1st of June. Hopefully June 3rd at Adriana's Unstuck Conference. But definitely you will see me June 4th because June 4th kicks off Men's Health Month. And I have an amazing guest on June 4th. So I will see y'all in June. Be safe, be amazing, be blessed. And if you want the charts, put a comment or email me and I will send them to you. Bye, y'all.